Ionuț, thank you for coming to our podcast. I'm super delighted to have a chat with you. I think it's the first time we met in person.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me, for the invitation. Just so all our viewers know, it's the first time I'm doing a podcast. So yeah, it's a first for me as well. But yeah, it's the first time we met, and it's a pleasure. I think by speaking with you on the phone, because we had several occasions when we talked. I really think you are a person that I would like to discuss with and to pick your brain on certain topics.
Okay,
so especially children, because
yes.
I know
I have a few.
You have a few, yeah. You
I have a few. Cool. All right. So you are the CEO of Sessions and one of the first people who joined Sessions.
Yeah, so I'm in the founding team of Sessions. Okay. So Sessions was founded by Radu Negulescu, and I was one of the first 3 people to join Sessions. So yeah, I'm in this project from the beginning. I was in this project from the beginning.
Okay. Before going into what Session is and having a deep dive, I know that you have an interesting life story. You left home at the age of 14 and started learning IT.
Yeah.
So I'd like to know a bit more about your background and how you got started within the technology field.
So I was born in Târgu Neamț in the early 19s, and I always had this ambition, and I think of myself as being a person that adapts to any situation, a survivor. So every time I become comfortable with a certain situation, something inside me tells me I should move forward. I should escape and put myself into a context which challenges me.
Okay.
And my parents always helped me with this, and they were the ones that supported me in my endeavor. So at the age of 14, I decided to leave my hometown and pursue a high school in Piatra Neamț, which, again, it's not very far from Târgu Neamț. It's 45 kilometers, but for a person at my age, it was a big deal. At first, I stayed with my father, but after that, he returned home, and I was on my own in Piatra Neamț. And that's where I kind of tasted life at its fullest. So I understood that it's very cozy and warm at home, but reality is not that calm with you. So it was a challenge for me to move to another city. It was a challenge for me to interact with other mentalities, but I managed to make the best out of it. I loved what I did in high school. I loved informatics. I went to a lot of Olympic contests, and I won also a lot of prizes. But at the end of high school, after having a discussion with my father, and also because at the time, I don't think parents and even myself were not aware of the potential that IT had, of where this industry was going. I still think it was at its beginnings, or at least in our region. People did not exactly know what IT meant. So after a long night of talking with my father, I decided for college to go to the law school at the University of Bucharest.
So you did IT?
I did IT.
College and then went to law.
Yeah. and my father's reasoning for this, he said, good. So you went to the informatics college. Now you have an analytical way of thinking.
Okay.
You know what goes well with analytical thinking. I said, what, father? Law school, and you should become a judge or a prosecutor. And I said, okay. His reasoning made sense, and I do not regret this. Just so to be on the record, I fully appreciate my path till today. And I think law school has opened a lot of doors for me from a perspective point of view. I see things differently, and I understand some aspects better than others when it comes to this side.
Just a second, because you made me curious. I mean, I'm a believer of cross-domain knowledge. I think people that have cross-domain knowledge have a competitive advantage compared to the ones that have specialized in a field for their entire life. I mean, of course, you can go in research and become a mad scientist, but usually for the vast majority of people, understanding law can help you, I don't know, better understand customers or whatever, or their perspective, or
I'm also a believer in this theory, but I'm also a practitioner of this theory. As I told you at the beginning, I want to adapt. So I'm a survivor, if you want. You can put me in any context, and I don't know if I will thrive, but I will survive. Going to law school, and as I will tell you in a bit, coming back to programming after law school made me, I don't know if the best candidate, but an ideal candidate for the position I'm in here today at Sessions. And the reason is, as you said, I understand both the product and how the product is made. I also participated in the creation of the first version of Sessions.
all right.
But also how the operational side of things works. Contracts, negotiating with partners, understanding business development, understanding how people think. Yeah. Because it's not just about having developers, it's about understanding their needs, understanding what they want to achieve. And you need an analytical thinking, but also you need to understand the human. And law school, and my 2 years, so after law school, I worked for 2 years at a law firm here in Bucharest. And you interact with a lot of clients. And there's a similarity between the problems people have from a legal perspective and the problems people have from a technical perspective. They do not know how to put into words or in the correct wording or technical wording their problem. Okay. They tell you what they think they need or what they think their problem is. And then you have to take it through your filter and digest it and put it into legal terms and into code if you want. Okay. So this is something I learned in my years in the law firm. I learned to listen to people. I learned to understand what they were really trying to say, to communicate. I learned to look past their emotions in understanding their needs. And this helped me a lot in my career till today in socializing. I'm a social person. I like to listen and I like to understand. And this is something that I developed during my years in the law firm. So coming back to my experience after these 2 years in the law firm, it's not that I became comfortable, but I think I realized that it's not for me. It's not for me. I was always trying to improve things like, have deadlines or court appeals in a law firm. And I tried to automate that part so all the lawyers inside the firm receive notifications or know exactly when their certain due dates are. And I understood that this better suits me. And also I was not...
optimizing the operations.
Optimizing operation, exactly. Okay. And I was not like becoming better at my job. So I understood that because of the context, I was not performing. Okay. It's not because I didn't want to, it's like my brain was stopping me from doing it. So okay. No, you cannot perform here. So I took like a sabbatical, half a year, 9 months. And a friend of mine, Radu, he was just starting his own business. So Radu Țintescu asked me if I wanted to help him in bringing up this development company that he had. Okay. And he said he needed a Ruby on Rails developer. So I started learning Ruby on Rails. Okay. And then, because business was not going great, I don't know how your first client was, but our first client stood us up. Okay. So we built the platform, right? It was a hiring platform. Okay. It was for an Indian guy, which was based here in Romania. And we finished the platform, we did the Q&A, we delivered the platform, and we were expecting our money, right? Because I had no other revenue stream. Yes. So I was living on some money that my parents were giving me, but it was very uncomfortable because I had I was like 22 or 23 at the time, so it was very
started needing your own money.
I needed that independence. Yes. So we were in a very curious predicament. And Softelligence, it's a Romanian software company. It's the software company out of which FinTech OS branched out. Okay. As a front-end developer on Angular. And at the time, the salary was great. When we heard the salary, it was like, we don't spend this much money in 2 months' time, and you're receiving it as a one-time payment each month. So Radu went on that path, but we are friends. We are for about 10 years now. Okay. We have a very strong friendship. And at the moment, Radu told me, look, you need to learn Angular. these guys need another front-end
So
developer.
after learning Ruby?
After learning Ruby, doing the project, getting stood up,
Okay.
he said, you need to learn Angular.
Okay.
Cool. And he said, I'm gonna give your CV to the HR department,
Okay.
and they'll probably call you. So you need to learn Angular fast. I go, okay, Radu, it's not something I think I can do, but I'll give it a try. 4 days later, Andrea from Sessions calls. Look, hi. So everybody calls me Johnny. So although my name is Ionuț, everybody calls me Johnny.
Yes.
So hi, Johnny. This is Andrea. Radu sent me your CV. When would you be able to come for an interview? Sick. Okay. Next week on Monday. Cool. On Monday, I went to Softelligence. They gave me and here again, life has a funny way of working. I had the initial screening test on JavaScript.
Okay.
Which I was very familiar with. JavaScript and HTML and CSS were easy. And the technical interview per se was supposed to be with their technical lead from that time on Angular.
Okay.
I had no clue about Angular. I mean, I tried to study in those 4 days, but you cannot accumulate. Angular is a big beast. You cannot accumulate. Life has it that the person that was supposed to interview me could not interview me. And they took Radu's word that I am a good Angular developer.
And they didn't ask you.
And they didn't ask. And I was in the negotiation phase, and I said, look, guys, I know that my CV does not have a technical background because since 6 months ago, I was not a technical person. All I have to show are my results from high school. And I'm going to propose the following deal with you. You give me the minimum wage salary for 3 months. You do not lose a lot of money with me.
Okay.
I do not gain a lot of money, but it gives me time to prove that I am an asset to this company. It gives me time to show you
That's a very interesting approach for a 22-year-old.
Yeah, that I can learn and I can be of value to you. But after 3 months, we do not negotiate from this salary. We negotiate from a salary like it was for a person in my position.
I have a curiosity here. What made you think like this? Because this is a very interesting perspective and an approach that a lot of 22-year-olds, I believe they don't have it.
Well, first of all, I think, again, interacting with people in the law firm made me understand things. And law is not just about applying the rules, it's also about negotiating on the rules and negotiating. It's not just the rules. For example, if we have a contract and we decide to break out of this contract, if we stay by the contract, it's harder or one side loses a lot. But if we talk, if we understand each other's needs, where we are coming from, what we are trying to achieve, then the outcome is better.
Now I understand why you negotiate every offer that we give you.
Yeah, exactly.
I should have known that from the beginning.
And also the need, because again, I was receiving money from my parents. Although they would have supported me years to come, I did not want that. I wanted to be an individual person. It was not comfortable for me to receive money from my parents. So I needed to generate revenue for myself. And I needed to start somewhere in the development industry, in the IT industry. I needed to build my CV, my portfolio. And they said yes. And first day I showed up at Softelligence, because I was used to, at the law firm, you were like suit and tie. Right? I came to Softelligence, suit and tie. 7 a.m. sharp. I was the first guy in the office.
You shocked them.
Yeah. It's because I was used to that program. Again, this the programmer life was very far from me at that time. Everyone was, good morning, sir, and I was like, why are they doing this? And of course, when Radu laid eyes on me first time in the first day, you see, why are you dressed like that? People do not dress like that here. You should come in a t-shirt or in some jeans. I say, okay, Radu, I'll take note of that. And on my first day, they give me this huge project. They give me this huge project for British American tobacco in Angular. It was built by some Indians. At the time, it had all the code in one file. All the front end, the control, everything was in one file. And me and my colleague at that time, Bogdan, were tasked to split the code in controllers and in separate files and functions, and then optimize the application in order to work on certain devices. I smoked 1 pack of cigarettes in the first 2 hours because I did not know what to do. I was looking at the code, and because I did not have the background necessary to do that, I was like frightened. I was scared. And Radu came on the balcony and said, "What are you doing here? Look, man, I don't think I can do this. Move your ass inside. You have to do this. I put my word on the line for you. There's no
pressure.
No pressure, but you have to do this." And I started small. I started biting small bits out of the code. And in 1 week time, we had to present the results and an initial version to the client. I did not sleep in that week. I did not sleep. I was all on Stack Overflow. I was
all in.
All in. I had to do that.
Yes.
So I had to do that because, again, it was part of my deal, and also I'm not a quitter. I don't like to quit.
That's a very good mindset, preparing you to become a founder of a technical project.
Yeah, it is. Life, and not only life, everything in a startup seems to not go the way you want.
Exactly. I mean, be like that.
Yeah.
Not know what you're doing, not know how to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And
but having a deadline to solve it.
Yeah, you only know the deadline. You need to fix this by then, or else.
Or else, yeah.
And it helped me a lot. I mean, it was trial by fire. I delivered the project and the client was satisfied. I then moved to bigger projects. I worked for the Allianz insurers application. The guys that went on the field used to create insurances for people. And after that, fintech branched out of soft intelligence. And an opportunity arose at fintech.
Okay.
It was my first contact with a real startup. And that, again, I was becoming comfortable at soft intelligence.
Okay.
And although I had a great team and I learned a lot from my team, it's about me evolving as an individual. And I wanted to understand what is a startup? How does a startup work? What are the difficulties that appear in a startup? And although I was at an entry level, I was a front-end developer also in fintech. So it was not like I had access to information that or the behind-the-scenes stuff of fintech.
Yes.
But I could observe. I could see how people were
discuss,
exactly. I could observe. And I started at fintech. I think I was in the first 20 or 25 people at fintech. They raised their Series A with us, and we moved the offices. Shortly, I became front-end team lead in the onboarding department. They were integrating fintech in banks on the onboarding side. George, for example, is based on their technology. And I started to understand a lot of how things worked and how you discuss with the client. I started discussing directly with the client. And I had people that were working under my supervision. So I started understanding their needs and how they manifest, or how they work, and what is their routine. And this helped me a lot. Then COVID struck. And it was a very dubious period because nobody knew what to do. It was the first time that almost all of humanity was on lockdown, and we had to move to the hybrid way of work. And I know that for fintech, it was a very hard period. Firstly, because nobody knew what to expect next. And when you are in a period of uncertainty, you buckle down.
Okay.
You cut down your monthly spendings, and you try to extend your runway. And at the time, they did some optimizations there. I was not affected by them, but it was awkward. I was sitting at home. I did not have any routine, and then Radu came with the idea. He started talking with Radu Negulescu, the founder of Sessions, the person that had the idea for Sessions.
So this is the genesis of Sessions.
This is the genesis of Sessions from my point of view, how I came into contact with Sessions. But the idea behind Sessions is the following. So at that time...
So what is Sessions, if you like the pitch, the nutshell?
Sessions. So at Sessions, we are trying to fix meetings. Sessions is a platform that offers you all the tools necessary and the context to conduct efficient meetings for you and your team, and even large-scale events, or basically to run all your business workflow through Sessions in a more efficient way. So this is what sessions.
So fixed meetings. What does fixed meetings means?
Cool. I'm going to tell you the story behind this. So the epiphany that Radu had. When COVID struck, he was still the CEO of Trencadis. Trencadis still exists today, is a $30 million business, one of Romania's biggest system integrators.
Okay.
And when COVID struck, there was a lot of pressure on the systems at the national level. And Radu had the idea to create like a task force, a multi-company task force that would aid the government in passing this period with different solutions. So he wanted to put together a meeting where he also invited big players like Cisco and Telecom. Some of them accepted, some of them didn't. And it was the first time that they had to do the meeting online. 100% online.
With stakeholders that they were not used to.
Exactly. Nobody was used to do that. And he saw this as a learning opportunity. He said, look, I'm going to take care of this meeting. I'm going to organize it. So, and he sent out invites, he prepared documents, he arranged all the aspects of the meeting. The meeting went well. Actually, in his words, the meeting went great because in 60 minutes they managed to do what otherwise they would have done in 3 or 4 hours. Although the initiative was not agreed with by the government, it does not matter. He learned the fact that good meetings are hard to make.
Okay.
So good meetings are very hard to make because you have to synchronize people with tools, with contexts, and it's very hard. Although there were facilitators of meetings at that time, like Zoom, Teams, Meet, they do not resolve the problem of efficient meetings. Many people would say that these players are actually the cause that meetings are so inefficient today. Because they do not treat the problem or the idea, the concept of the meeting holistically.
Okay.
A meeting is not just entering a Zoom and talking with each other. There are a lot of steps in this process. First of all, you have to schedule the meeting. You have to sync all the participants of the meeting in order to find the time slot. So this is the scheduling part. Then you have to prepare for the meeting. You have to have your homework done. As the guy that is sending out information to your peers, you need to do your homework, right? And you prepare documents and you prepare files and you want to share with these people the documents, or you want to share with them ahead of the meeting so they can read. So a lot of work here. Sending out emails, making sure everyone has access rights to the documents, making sure you have the right setup and you do not share your WhatsApp instead of your file. Then it's the consumption part of the meeting, which is basically the video conferencing, but video conferencing is just the channel, the communication channel. The meeting is not about video conferencing. The meeting is about the information you are sending through, to your peers. And then you have a lot of context switching, because if you want to discuss, for example, at the board meeting, you want to discuss the budget, then you want to discuss, I don't know, new hires, then to see if you decide to rent a new place. And after all of this, you want to sign the board meeting agreement or whatever. First of all, you have to have the documents with an Excel file with the budgets, right? Then you have to have pictures or links with the buildings you are trying to rent. Then you have to have CDs with the people you are trying to hire. So there's a lot of things, a lot of information
spread across multiple
and different types of information. So Excel, links, files, a lot of information, and you have to share this while keeping your public and your audience entertained, while keeping them focused. There's something called a term, it's called Zoom fatigue. People lose interest when you do that context switching. Do you see my tab? Can you see the files? Do you have that? Exactly. Exactly. So, and it's tedious, and it's very hard to be 100% organized in this. So this is why we consider and we believe, and the market certainly is going in this direction. Big players are also looking in this direction of a unified experience, that Zoom was an enabler of all this noise and all, and not only Zoom, Teams and Meets were enablers of all this noise and this context switching and chaos. So what Session does, and again, after finishing the meeting, you have to do the follow-up, right? You want to send out emails to all the participants with what was discussed, with action points, with the documents that were shared. If you have a recording, you have to share the recording. If you have transcript, you share the transcript. And again, all of these are separate tools. So transcript is a separate tool, Zoom is a separate tool, Calendly is a separate tool for scheduling. If you have an agenda, there was Sessions agenda or Sessions labs that had an agenda. So a lot of components,
a lot of tools,
a lot of tools, a lot of subscriptions, a lot of, you have to learn a lot of things.
And integrating them.
Yeah, and integrating them. Exactly, because it's like the apps on the phone.
Yes.
They exist, they do things, but individually. But if you want to connect them, it's hard. Yes. If they're under the same provider as WhatsApp, Instagram, and Facebook, okay, they work together.
Might work, yeah.
But other than that, it's very hard. So what Session does is approach the problem of meetings holistically.
Okay.
And we want to fix the problem of meetings by introducing and pushing the concept of a session. So a session is an organized, structured meeting with a clear outcome. So you know what you're getting out of a session. You know what you put into a session. You know what you're getting out of a session.
So renaming meetings with sessions, because meetings are more than
sessions are more than meetings. Yeah, are meetings with structure, with coherence, with a clear outcome. So this is.
So basically, you are giving people a framework to become more productive when it comes to
to their
exchanging information. All right,
exactly.
All right, that's very good.
If we go back in time at the beginning of Session, it was not called Sessions, it was called FlowOS, and we named this.
I remember that.
And we named this the world's first cooperating system.
Yes, yes.
And in FlowOS, we wrote a book. Before writing the first line of code in Sessions, we wrote a book, a conceptual book.
Why is that? Like a public book to share with the public, or
so something? It's not. We will share it at some point with the public. It was for internal use and for our collaborators to understand at that time what we are trying to achieve.
Okay.
And to understand our vision.
Okay.
So this is why we wanted to invalidate it.
Okay.
So we wanted to put our thought process into writing, and we wanted people to invalidate it.
Okay.
To see if it holds water or not, and we pushed it a lot. Tell me if.
So basically, all your entire product concept, you put it in writing.
Yeah.
And it was so much writing that it was the equivalent of writing a small book, I believe so.
Yeah.
And then you share it with people and pitch it.
Yeah.
This is my idea.
Yeah, exactly.
What's wrong with it?
Exactly.
Okay.
And the way we tested it, we built an online festival. I don't know if you're familiar with Unfinished.
I don't know.
So Unfinished is a multicultural festival. It's a networking festival that brings people from all around the world here in Romania at the History Museum. Before the pandemic, they met at the History Museum, if I'm not mistaken, and they interacted with each other. They played songs, they told stories. It's a very, very interesting concept. And now they began to do it again in person. So if you hear about it, you should join.
I'll have a look at it.
And at that time, because the pandemic struck, and nobody knew when the pandemic was going to finish. It was next month. No, next month. In 3 months. Always next month. And their founder, Cristian Movila, approached us.
I know Cristi.
Okay, he's a friend of, so he's the founder of Unfinished. He's the man behind the concept of Unfinished. He approached Radu Negulescu and he said, look, I need to do this festival. People are asking, people need interaction because everybody was locked down. Can we do it? Can we do the festival online?
Okay.
And we had the perfect framework for it.
Exactly.
We had the FlowOS, which basically, FlowOS, it's based on human interaction, right? This is an interaction. We are two individuals, and there's a flow of information circulating between us with the channels that we use tools. For example, you use this Remarkable to write things down. I use my phone. We use a lot of tools in helping us interact and exchange information. And based on this interaction, we are building, we call it the informational build-up framework, the IBF. We are building a mass of information that, if we go back in time, the first time we heard of CloudHero was the genesis of this informational build-up, and we started communicating and we started interacting, and now it's like an inverse pyramid.
Okay.
So a genesis, and then it's this big pile of information. And he said, we have the perfect framework for this. Understand that at that point in time, FlowOS was just a concept. It was, if I'm not mistaken, July or end of July or beginning of August, and Unfinished was supposed to happen on the 15th of September.
Okay.
So
I see a synergy between your way of working and the deadline.
And we had, I mean, I'm thankful, and we have the best team, and we put together the best team possible. And I'm not just saying this because they helped us. The devotion they had, and they still have. 80% of the team that started working then are still part of our team now.
Okay, so very good retention.
Yeah, the devotion they had to this project and the belief they had in this idea was tremendous. So much so that we ended up, we had our offices somewhere in a historical house near on Aviatorul.
Okay.
There was a historical house. And on the Pangrati Street.
Okay.
And so much, we worked so hard that we had sleeping bags in the office. The police, in that period, you know that the police verified you if you had like a paper to justify you going out of the home.
Yes, yes.
When I was returning home each night, I was returning home at 3, 4 in the morning. The police was like, okay, I know who you are. You do the same thing each day. So we worked day and night, from the beginning of August till September when Unfinished was launched. And it was launched in parallel with the event from Brand Minds.
Okay.
Where Brand Minds, I don't know what happened then, but I think they had an infrastructure problem and their platform collapsed. Okay. And they ended up sharing all the videos. They had live streams on Vimeo. Okay. And if you had the code, which was generic, you could not put individual codes for each user, anyone could access it.
Yes.
And this was 1 or 2 days before us. And we said, fuck. Is this going to happen to us as well? Because we were not only doing live streams, we had interactive, we had an agenda, and the agenda, returning to sessions, is the backbone of every meeting. It's optional, but if you add an agenda, you have structure. For each agenda item, you can add tools and you can add context. And that's the first time we tested an agenda at Unfinished. And we had speakers with different agendas, with different files on each agenda item. We then had decisional-based films, and it was something with wine tasting. And you had a presentation video, and the sommelier told you about what types of wine he wants to talk about, and then you chose which option you'd like, and then the video changed to that option. Each individual went on its own path. It's like Netflix did with the first time they launched on Netflix, not Black Mirror, no. There was a movie where you
different iterations of
you can choose the outcome.
The outcome,
And we had a lot of interactivity.
It's incredible what technology empowers you to do.
And
even in a post-pandemic world, I mean, that it's
collaborate. So the pandemic has changed the way people interact forever.
Yes.
There's no going to 100% offline.
Yes, of
and
course.
We are not going to stay, and we are not 100% online. It's in between. It's in the middle. It's hybrid.
We're still doing, I think, 80% of our meetings online.
Okay.
It's more efficient meeting with meeting with customers.
Exactly. It is. Yeah. You do not have to take a plane to China to talk to your counterpart there. You just jump in a session and there you are. But on top of this, you need to collaborate. You need to be able to collaborate real time. Because, again, video is just the communication channel, but you need to interact with each other. And this layer was what took Unfinished to the next level. And also that takes sessions to the next level. Real-time collaboration. I mean, people inside the session can work simultaneously on documents, on PDFs, on whiteboards. They can view YouTube videos, Vimeo, or videos as a whole in sync or each in their own time. They can take personal notes. They can do
shared notes.
Share notes, yeah. They can share agendas. They can work collaboratively on agendas.
I mean, it takes a lot of time for you to make notes, put them on Google Drive, share them with the team. Some of them might not have access. There are external partners. You make sure you have a framework that governs your meeting. All right, that's I mean, that's quite interesting. Even though we've been working for some time, because I didn't have the discussion with you, I didn't had the understanding on what's the difference between a session, not in terms of sessions, but like the concept of sessions when it comes to a meeting. And I think this is a very nice name. I want to go a bit back in time because I interrupted you when it came to your story on joining sessions. And I want to now, because people know what session is and we know what session is, I'm curious a bit how you started and how you became a CEO at Sessions.
So again, Radu and Radu, they came together. I think at the time they were fully booked with the major projects that they had. And he really wanted to pursue this. Also, Radu ended up exiting Trencadis altogether and becoming full-time in Sessions. So his dedication to this project is also a big driver for me and the team. Seeing him quitting his, his lifetime work. He has had this Trencadis, I think, for 20 or some years. So a lot of work and time put into this. And he needed a team to build this project. And Radu said, "Look, we have this opportunity. Let's see how it goes." And we worked nights because I was still at FinTech OS at the time, so I had to work outside of my normal schedule. Because that's the fair thing, and that's the fair thing to do. I mean, I really do not want people to, if they have their own projects, okay, but you have to work outside.
People looking at from FinTechers looking at this, they know they lost a very good very good person.
Again, I think I did my best for FinTech, but FinTech managed excellently without me, and I think I mean nobody is indispensable to be honest. But FinTech grew a lot, and if you want, FinTech exploded after I left, so who knows, maybe. But just as a joke. So I worked late nights, and as we were working on this idea, so what I had to do is build the MVP. Basically a video conferencing platform that supported, I don't know, at the time up to 8 people. So we were not testing the limits.
At scale,
8 people at the time with an agenda. Agenda that had, so you can switch from video conferencing to a video, then I think you had a form in it, and then you had a PDF loaded in the platform.
So a few features of the product that you
We wanted to use the MVP to pitch the idea through the MVP to potential investors.
And at the MVP level, you build the MVP from a product perspective or just from a technical perspective? Somebody.
So the product part. So the product part was with Radu and Radu. So they thought the concept of the product. I did it from a technical perspective, but again, being in full contact with the product.
Of course, you were in the same room.
In the same room, we were in the same room at the same time. I was in the technical part, and we managed to build a very cool thing.
How long did it took to build the MVP from?
To the final, so the MVP was.
When you consider it done, okay, now we can show it to
just to understand the MVP at that time, we still have it running. I mean, I can still make it work today in a couple of hours, not just like that. But it was held together because it was something like week's time. I had to
Okay.
do it in 1 week, 2 weeks,
Okay.
something like that. It was held together by sticks and stones.
Yes, of course.
Which
is
it
pretty
had
advisable
only
to any
one,
startup
exactly.
of
It had
doing that.
one objective. It had to accept participants up to 8 in a meeting where you have an agenda and you can switch context, and it had to render on each participant screen a video, some slides, a whiteboard.
Yes.
That's all it had to do. And you had to have a chat, but that was easily built back then, so it was no major issue. And everything was controlled from a secondary page where you had buttons like clear chat, restart.
That was
session.
like the backend, or
It was like the backend was, I don't know, 50 lines of code.
no, like the back office. Sorry,
Yeah, the back office. Yeah, the back
sorry,
office. The back
sorry.
office was a page with the password "I love cats,"
Okay.
and you had access to control all of this.
Okay, that's nice. Cool. So basically, you build the technical product. You build the MVP. Now, Session has become a mature product, sort of say. You're still, I would not say like in a startup at its beginning. You're a startup that has customers, has paying users, so you're a bit mature now. I'm curious to have like an overview about the technical framework of Sessions. What power Session? How does it look for our technical?
So from a technical perspective, Sessions. So the front end is based on React.
Okay.
With TypeScript, of course, and the back end is based on Node.js and TypeScript. And now, when it comes to bundling all of this in an infrastructure, we use Google Cloud as a provider with with Kubernetes engine to run all of the containers, and Postgres SQL as a database.
And why did you choose this technology? I mean, it was something that you deliberately, or it was based on?
So the MVP was built in Angular because I was proficient in Angular. But when we started building up the team, when we started to bring in new colleagues after Unfinished, or during the period of Unfinished, because we had to hire massively there, people had an expertise in React. And I think React, for this sort of dynamics in the front end part, handles it better than if you write the code the way React was intended to
be. So
because
your front end is pretty complex, you interact with the front end, you upload files, you download files.
And there are a lot of changes.
You are doing a lot of compute in the browser, sort of say.
So we wanted to use React. And also, I think it was something that the guys that we hired back then, and still our colleagues, were proficient in. So in React.
So basically, this is the technical framework that you kept from day one. From after the MVP.
After the MVP, when we started to build Sessions, and it was called Sessions. So no longer FlowOS. The MVP again was about FlowOS, but it had this the same look and feel as Sessions. So
that's pretty interesting. Yeah. And how many years you've been running Sessions now?
So. The idea was initially took life in 2020. So this is our fourth year.
Were so far away.
Yeah, exactly. Pandemics were so far away.
Yeah.
We have now entered our fourth year.
Okay.
At the beginning, the whole operation was bootstrapped by Radu Negulescu. Again, a lot. So. He put a lot of at stake in this company.
So a lot of skin in the game.
A lot of skin in the game. A lot of skin in the game because he truly believes in this. Yeah.
Okay.
So we are entering we have entered the fourth year now. In July we will or June we will celebrate our fourth year. But I consider, I mean, although you were a startup from the beginning, I think you become a startup in the real sense of the word when you receive funding, when you raise your first round of money. And we raised our seed round in 2022, so 2 years.
So basically,
at the beginning, 1.5 years after.
And you found product market fit while bootstrapping?
No,
Or it was
no.
okay.
And the idea behind this is simple, and this is something that even when choosing providers, it's something behind our reasoning. So we want to choose providers, local providers from the Romanian landscape. The reason is simple. There is not a lot of know-how in the market today about how to build startups in Romania, per se. People, and I'm not saying this in no, I mean, I really appreciate the technical landscape in Romania. I think we have brilliant companies, brilliant people. But from a startup perspective, understanding user needs, having user interviews, understanding growth, understanding product, how to think in a product direction, I don't think it's so evolved as in other countries. Mostly Romania was a service provider country. And we have a service provider mentality rather than a product mentality. So at the beginning, we made a lot of mistakes. Very expensive mistakes. And
do you have one in mind?
Yeah, thinking that the agenda is 100% mandatory in a session. We were convinced that you cannot have a session without an agenda.
Session,
Whereas there are meetings where you do not want to have an agenda. And more so, if the agenda is a blocker to launching a session, then it's a bottleneck. You need to get rid of it. You need to make it optional or make it available only when needed. So that was, for example, a mistake that we made. But we were convinced, I mean, to understand the level of devotion and also the intensity with which we lived every second of these 2 years, the beginning 2 years were fantastic. There was no stopping us. I mean, we lived in that house because we could not go anywhere else. Because we lived in that house. We were breathing sessions. We lived for sessions. But again, we could not see the forest because of the trees. We were so stuck in our...
You had a bias.
Yeah, we had the bias. And this is a lesson that we learned. It does not matter what you think. It matters only what your customer thinks, or not just one individual, but a pool of individuals that are in the target, in your target market. So they can invalidate or validate your idea like that.
And I believe your lawyer expertise and your career in the law help you incorporate this way of thinking and discussing with customers and trying to understand their perspective and the root cause behind their decisions rather than...
At that moment in time, I stepped away from the software development. Because to be 100% honest, seeing these guys next to me, technical guys, I understood that I was never going to be at that level. I mean, they were rocket ships.
Same. I feel the same looking at our team.
Yeah. So for me, it was obvious that this is not something that I could excel at, and there is no reason in trying to not fight, but trying to compete with these guys. No, there was no reason. And I took a step back, and I thought of, okay, what do you know? What is your background? What knowledge have you accumulated so far? And Radu Negulescu then proposed I help with business development. But it was very early on. Understand that we were...
So before CEO, you're a business developer.
But we considered at that time that we had a product, we can ship it out. I mean,
That's the startup life.
Yeah, and we were like... And we had contacts, because after we did Unfinished, a lot of opportunities arose because big companies were trying to recreate the experience we had with Unfinished in their own context and in their own target audience. But we realized, and kudos to Radu at that time, we realized that if we pursued this branch, although we would have arrived at a generating revenue point earlier, we would have transformed ourselves in a service provider company because the product was not mature enough.
Yeah.
Exactly, for it. The product was not mature enough to offer the solution to someone to customize and then
Yes.
take your hands
You
off
had
it.
to code it.
You had to code it because we built all of that in 1.5 months.
All right.
So it was hard. So that did not stick because I did not have any business to develop.
Yes.
And after that, before he started discussions with funds, and we started looking in this way of VC funding.
Okay.
He came to me. He said, "Look, this is something that it's a position of great responsibility, and it's a position that." Well, he did not say that I was not equipped for, but I did not have the experience, and it's true.
For business development?
For becoming a chief operating officer. So, but I would like to offer this to you, and I would like you to promise me that you will learn and you will become better and better at what you do. And that ticked a lot of boxes in my mind, because it was. So I wanted to get rid of the software development part. Business development was not going. I did not have the context to grow there, and being a part of everything business-wise and trying to organize and trying to put together all the pieces, and becoming like a sparring partner with the CEO. So although there is not a clear definition of what a chief operating officer does, most will agree that he is like a sparring partner for the CEO. The CEO has the idea, and the COO needs to find ways how to implement to make it happen.
And to align the team.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is, so you have like a foot in each department.
That's a very good definition for a startup.
Yeah. And again, when Sessions will become a huge multinational company and everything will be by the protocol, for sure.
And you're a billionaire.
Who knows? This is not something that it's a very important factor, but it's not the driver behind.
Of course, I mean, you cannot wait to become a billionaire.
Yeah, you can exactly. So it's like, the thrill of the ride. It's the idea behind. It's the team. It's all of the effort that we put into this, and it's the learning curve that we had. So we if we look at ourselves 4 years ago, we would laugh our asses off because and hearing us talk, because again, as I said at the beginning, life throws at you a lot of things, and it has its own way of showing you that you do not know shit. And sorry for the cursing.
No, but I mean that's the idea, and I believe looking after 4 years, looking back, you'll see you'll speak the same about yourself.
Of course,
because this is
4 years from now,
I will look back. Learning process.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. So law, then software development, and business development, then CEO.
Yeah,
that's fabulous. I believe we met. We started interacting when you were a CEO.
Yeah.
Do you remember how we got in contact?
So I don't remember if myself or Radu read about your project with Freshful.
Oh, okay.
And I think I
think Radu.
I think Radu introduced us, and I looked you up and I saw your YouTube channel, and you had a presentation exactly on what you did with Freshful. And at that time we were starting, so we reached a certain product market fit, or we were very close to product market fit. Our usage was growing.
Right. Your infrastructure usage.
Yeah. Our usage as a product, but again, it translates into infrastructure usage as well. We decided we need a bird's eye view, an external perspective inside our infrastructure.
Okay.
Because an advice I want to give to people that are starting startups, not in the first few months or in the first year, but if your idea starts growing roots, instead of trying, it is cheaper to bring in a professional DevOps team or provider to fix or to guide you, to put you on the right track from an infrastructure perspective, than trying to do it yourself and then paying a lot of money later when you have to fix all of the garbage that's
I mean, infrastructure, I think it's paramount when it comes. It doesn't matter so much when you are building the problem.
Exactly.
When you don't have customers,
Exactly.
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
You can have a server that is running everything. But when you have product market fit and customers rely on your product to do events, to do sessions, to discuss with their customers, then infrastructure needs to be robust, needs to be secure. And it becomes paramount in the experience of your customer.
And you need to take to address this issue early on. Because if you don't, your problems will amount. And then you will end up paying a lot more, not in money. Not in money for professionals to fix your problem, but in churn rate, in losing customers, in losing business, in having an image on the market that is not in accordance to what your product can do.
Reliable.
Exactly. And you do not want this.
You don't want
and this is something. This is something you need to look into or keep into mind. Again, it has to make sense to bring in a team of specialists, and for us it did. Because we were growing at that time. And also Sessions is not a normal startup. It's a startup from my perspective. It's a startup of startups because you have all of these components that by themselves are individual products. You have scheduling, you have video conferencing, you have events. Then you have functionalities like custom subdomain, custom SMTP, custom branding. And all of these can be seen in individual products, but in Sessions, they are all brought together. And you have a complex mesh of systems that keep all of these parts in balance and ensures that they communicate, because a very important aspect of Sessions is the information is you can access the information after the session anytime in the memory part. So you need to have context. It's a big beast. So Sessions behind the scenes is a big beast. And we wanted to make sure that all of these systems are working okay, whilst also being conscious of the efficiency we use our resources, the cost effectiveness of our infrastructure, scalability, security, and also a thing that so the last project we had with you guys was monitoring. This is something that observability. But I'll get to that. So when you look at your own child, he's perfect. Right?
Yes.
When our DevOps
when others look at
when others look at your child, say, he has, I don't know, a big nose or a big ears. But you cannot see. You cannot see that. Right? And it's and also we need like a security audit, and we need like for all of the aforementioned aspects, we needed somebody external to look over them and just say, look guys, you did a stupid thing, or you did the right thing, or this you need to change. And Radu told me about you guys. I looked you up. I saw that you're a Romanian company. One of the ideas behind Sessions is to grow Sessions to such a point that others would lead by example. So we would like to lead by example and encourage other people to embrace the challenge of building startups, because it's not easy. And this is one of the drivers behind, or the initial drivers behind Sessions. So, and we want to help the local environment, and we want to be helped by the local environment. And this partnership made perfect sense. Of course, we had to pay the bills, and you had to be professional about the services you provided. So this, again, is something mandatory. But when we first interacted with you, you gave me a very strong sense of trust. Because before saying anything, you wanted to understand who we were, what we were trying to achieve, what is the projected road we have in our minds, what we have done so far. You are not like the teacher that you did wrong. No, you wanted to understand us and to help us in a way that is in the same direction with how we saw things, and that was great. I mean, that was great. And Andrei,
our CTO, Andrei Petrescu.
Andrei Petrescu, he's a fantastic guy. I mean, kudos to him. And he worked very well with our DevOps team back then. And when the audit came, and when we saw the depths that you went to with the audit, we understood that we need these guys to do regular checkups, and also these guys have the expertise that or some expertise that we might lack, and we would like them to help us on certain aspects of our infrastructure. So from there on, we worked, and we worked on the resource efficiency part, cost reduction, observability, which is a very important aspect, because after we put that into place, some flags started to appear, right? Some things that
exactly how your infrastructure performs.
And some things that we were not aware about earlier on now became obvious. So overall, it was one of the best decisions we did from a technical perspective, to talk to you guys and to ask you to help us in this direction.
That's very good to know. I mean, I was convinced that we did a good job working together, because we have this session now, this in-person session, and things went out well, as you accepted our invite. But I mean, I found some interesting insights on the aspect of course, on your story, on session stories, and the aspect of our collaboration. So thank you so much for trusting us. In terms of I would say impact, can you quantify in a way the impact that, like, the infrastructure assessment, observability, the DevOps part had on your business? Is there any, I mean, did it make like team become more productive or increase security? Or
so you changed our the way we go about developing new things from an infrastructure perspective. You gave us a framework. You taught us what to look for and what are the most important aspects when doing infrastructure work. From an immediate return of investment, if you'd like, of course, the costs dropped. We saw greater stability with our platform in a period. So after you did the audit, we launched an AppSumo. And we did record the sales on top 5 all time from a sales perspective. We sold about 2 million gross sales, about 2 million.
Wow. Yeah, that's fabulous.
Although AppSumo keeps a big chunk of the money, because that's their business model. But
anyways,
the influx of users was tremendous. And when they pay, even though it's a lifetime deal, they stress your platform to the max. They go in every corner, they go in every possible functionality. And the infrastructure stood up, and we did not have problems.
That's the most important.
That's important. And we had doubts before having this audit. And again, the audit showed us that there were some weak points, some bottlenecks. So being able to do that, a massive increase, and withstanding that, I mean, that's the biggest return of investment. As I was saying, keeping your customers happy, that's the biggest return of investment.
We are always thinking about our customers, because that's the end goal. We don't care so much about servers and infrastructure. That's why we want to understand the decisions that you had in mind when, what you had in mind when you took some infrastructure decisions, because, you can always do it better. But sometimes it doesn't matter so much. So you need to be, it's something that I like to say, like cloud migration or infrastructure, it's a matter of timing it right. It's not a matter of how you do it, it's a matter about timing it right. Ionuț, I know that you have another session after this, and I don't want to keep you too long. As a closing thought, I mean, your experience is pretty impressive when it comes to career path and building a startup, building it from the MVP, phase towards selling 2 million in a single yes on a single session. So I was curious. I mean, there are startups out there, maybe startup founders that are in the scale phase, or they are in the product market phase, or they are just thinking about building an MVP. What's your advice on how they should approach building their product? What's important? I mean,
do not overcomplicate things.
Okay.
Validate your product. I mean, build the simplest iteration of your idea, which has the core functionality that you thought about, the differentiators, basically. So build a product that has the differentiators in the fastest way possible, and send it out to your target, to friends, family, anyone who you think is in your target audience, and ask them to invalidate your idea. Ask them to show you the cracks, and ask them about what they think about your idea and your product. And
not just about the good parts.
Yeah, no. Ask them to be honest.
Okay.
Because it's going to be a life saver and a time saver. Because if they do not invalidate your idea, although they had ideas of how to invalidate it, you'll end up in front of a investors meeting, or you'll end up, better yet, in front of a larger audience, and they will rip you apart.
They rip you apart, yeah.
And then you will not know why this happened. It's not because your idea was bad. So it's because your idea needs to be molded in what the customer needs. You might be fixing a very important problem, but you need to fix it in a way that your customer wants you to fix it in.
Yeah.
It's not what you think, it's about what your customer thinks. So this is this is the most important lesson I learned, and we have learned. It's you have to listen to your customers, but you have to have qualitative feedback. You have to address your target or your ideal target market.
Yes.
If you're building, I don't know, AI tools for chatbots, you do not ask the guy that is changing wheels at the repair shop.
Yes, of course.
He will not know. You have to ask, I don't know, store owners or people that would use that chatbot in their business. So do your research first. Build your target audience, or what you think is your target audience. Create a lightweight version of your product, or better yet, send out a form with important questions, or questions that you think could be decisive in the way you frame your product. Send the form out to these people. Learn what their problems are. Ask them about how they go about these problems in their day-to-day routine, and understand where their pain points are, and then try to put this into your product and give it a form. We had the luxury, due to Radu's bootstrap, to fail a lot and to make a lot of mistakes. But this is not the case for a normal startup. Normal startups do not have this luxury. The budget, exactly. The budget to make all of these mistakes, or to start with a team. We were 20 some people before the seed stage.
Yes.
So we were big.
A pretty big organization,
and you need to keep your losses in check and your mistakes in check. So this is what I would advise early startup founders to do, and to go about. And to never lose trust. I mean, you don't have to die with an idea if everyone invalidates it, although there are certain scenarios in history when everyone invalidated an idea, and it was the greatest one.
But those are exceptions.
Exceptions, but if you feel it, if you 100 go for it. I mean, nobody should stop you. But never lose trust in yourself. And if this idea does not work, move on to the next, and to the next, and to the next, until you do not. I mean, it's a balance. It's from individual to individual. It depends where your breaking point is.
That's fabulous. Thank you so much for taking your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again. I hope I did your podcast justice.
No, definitely super valuable insights on building a product, on career advice, and I got myself some insights on our collaboration, which are quite fantastic.
These are things that I don't know if we are on the record or not, but these are things that are very important for me when talking to someone, and also important in how I position myself with regards to my counterparts. If you instill in me a sense of trust, and if I believe that your intention is genuinely to help me and sessions, and not just to mark another client on a balance sheet, then my openness to that partnership and my willingness to come towards you from any perspective will grow.
One of the principles that we have, or values that we have our company, is give more than you get back.
Yeah.
Because I call it the circle of value. If you take more value than you provide, then
There's
the
a gap.
circle, it's not sustainable. If you give more value, then you will give more value
Exactly.
to your customers, and your customers to our customers, and it's a circle of value
Yeah.
that generates growth.
That's a great way of looking about things. In the end, exactly, it's a person-to-person service.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.